Because when you tune into something like this, you're not expecting someone to cough in your ear immediately.
Not immediately.
Not immediately. Oh, hi.
Hello,
Hello.
everybody.
Hi. Welcome. Welcome to Friday night and your regularly scheduled live show, The Unready Room. We are unready as per usual. And Dan is off tonight because it's his birthday.
Yeah.
So make sure everybody you get on Twitter or Facebook or whatever and wish Dan a happy birthday if you haven't already. Because if it weren't for him, obviously we would not be doing this. We would
We've
not be on
stolen
this
his
channel.
channel.
Yeah, we've
We've yoinked it.
we've yoinked it. There we go. We've yoinked it. So
Mhm.
and this is to all those who haven't seen him before. This is my husband, Dave. That's his favorite Discovery shirt that he's wearing.
Yes.
So, Dave, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
I'm Brandi's husband. This is our beloved pizza cutter, the fidget spinner Discovery herself.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm filling in for Dan when he's away, and Bruce couldn't make it either. So, since I podcast with Brandi on the Dark Corner, and we also do What the Future Holds together, where we talk about Discovery. Yeah, she asked me to come in, and I think I'm particularly capable of talking about this particular episode. So, yeah, it seems like just auspicious that this would be the episode to discuss. And we were just discussing before the show started how this is so highly rated.
It is. A lot of people have loved this episode, and I'm one of them, obviously.
Yeah, I've already seen memes, of was it Leonardo DiCaprio just pointing at the screen. I was like, these
Mm-hmm.
are Star Trek fans looking at the recent episode of Lower Decks, and they're just pointing and going, I recognize that.
Mm-hmm. I understood that reference.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. So why don't we just kind of jump in? So this episode is episode 8 of 10 of season 2 of Lower Decks. I Excretus.
Excretus.
No,
Excretus.
no, it's Excretus,
It
which
is
I thought at
Excretus.
first it was Excretus because that's really probably how it should be pronounced. But
Mm,
Excretus is more what the word is based on is really
yep.
excrete. So you would want,
Nobody
yeah.
knows. Latin is a dead language.
No,
They're
I know.
making up the accent. It's like the Eddie Izzard bit. They're just inventing it.
Hello. Are
We're the
you the
Romans.
we are the Romans? Are you the army? Are you the Gaelic army? Oh yes. Well, we are the Romans. Yes, we are. And you must be Chief Vercingetorix. Yes, I recognize you from the asterisk books.
She
Guys,
could go on
listen
and on and
to
on.
yeah, listen to Eddie Izzard. It's so funny.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so this so you were gonna say things.
I was going to
Dave,
say it
say
begins
things.
with the cold open. That could have been the whole episode.
Yes.
Getting
Yes.
abandoned on a satellite from the looks of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just out there fixing a satellite, the four of them, and looking at the horizon. Well, it's not really a horizon because they're in space.
Yep.
And they saying, Mariner's saying, no matter what our jobs are, seeing a view like this just makes it all worth it. And then you hear that there's a distress call. Well, we switch to the interior bridge, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a distress call, and Ensign Barnes says that they're in a time loop, and I'm getting the message again, and I'm
And
getting
getting
the
the
message
message
again.
from the Bakersfield. So we get another
Yeah.
California class ship.
Yep. So, of course, Captain Freeman, without thinking about the people that she's left on the satellite, is just go to warp. Warp me, she says. Warp me.
Because
That's her
apparently
thing.
they didn't sign out their grav boots.
Yeah, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
But you would think that at least one of them would, right?
And when they
What do I
get
know?
transported back, they're covered in ice because you're out for so long. Where did that water come from?
I don't know. Maybe it came from their own secretions. I'm kidding. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
condensation on their enviro suits or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, maybe they took a shower before they went out. Who knows?
Yeah, 6 hours they were away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I could see why they did the ice, because that's the great thing about Lower Decks is because it's animation, they can do things they can't do live action, and we'll get a lot of gags in this that are specifically designed for animation. And
Yes.
part of the shorthand is, oh, they're cold, so we're going to put ice on them, even though it
Well,
doesn't necessarily make sense.
it does if they're not in the environmental suits anymore, which they
Yeah.
weren't when
Mhm.
we saw them.
I thought they were when
So,
they transported back. They were in their suits and covered in ice, and they brought in thermal blankets to put on them.
mm, I'll have to go back and rewatch it,
Yeah,
but
well, it's maybe 2 minutes at the most. Who knows how short that is? It came from Brad. Oh yeah, that's right. You dehydrated. Your skin
Yep.
shouldn't look that bad. You were
Yeah.
synthetic.
And also this one you made me laugh, TJ. Oh,
With the
poor
blood the
Gorkon.
color of Pepto-Bismol.
Yep. Really, really is.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, great cold open, of course, Mariner getting all up in her mother's grill about leaving them behind for 6 hours.
Because yeah, there was like an
6.
Enterprise episode that was basically like that with the mine when they were stuck outside of the ship for all that time and oxygen being an issue.
Yeah, well, it was, if I remember correctly, it was when they accidentally ran into a Romulan minefield, or
Yeah.
excuse me, Roman Empire, Romulan,
Romulan Empire. Hello,
Anyway,
we
I
are
don't
the
remember.
Romulans.
Anyway, and this is our leader, Mr. Dog. I'm thinking of changing my name. Caesar. Let's go with Caesar. You would understand if you understood that
Yep.
Mr. Dog used to be
Because
a
there's a
dog
dog
food name,
food
and
called
then
Caesar, and yeah.
yeah, it used to be Mr. Dog, and then
Hmm.
anyway.
They changed it to Caesar, and yeah, it's a bit.
It's a bit. It's a bit. Anyway, Eddie Izzard.
Mhm.
Check her out. Anyway, uh, so yeah, I
So
completely forgot what I was talking about.
I'm sorry, I have a tendency to do that to you.
Oh yeah, I remember now. So she's getting up in their grill, and Freeman's saying, you got to shape up because there's this consultant coming,
A drill
and
sergeant.
basically a drill sergeant,
Yeah,
except
I was
she's not
surprised.
exactly a sergeant. But
Yeah,
in
or
any
drill
case,
instructor, I think they
yeah,
said. Yeah.
that they're going to run drills, etc. And this is something apparently that happens on all ships from time to time. And we find out later, of course, that the bigger ships, the more famous ships, of course, pass these drills with flying colors.
Hmm.
And so anyway, so we have our opening credits. And when we come back, that's when we meet our drill instructor,
Yep.
who is
Another
Shari
yeah
Yunyam.
another character design lifted from the animated series, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Pandronian, is that right?
And it's
I
another
should have
instance
double checked
of
that.
like animation being the reason for it, because the interchangeable, like movable body parts, then that's something you can do very specifically in an animated series that in live action would probably look a little weird or just not be sold properly.
It would be really, really hard to do.
And oh, the cheesy puns. Ugh. You can get ahead. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So basically, everybody thinks they're going to ace everything until she tells them that they're switching.
Hmm.
And all of the people who are bridge crew are going to be lower deckers and vice versa.
Yeah,
So, of
this is
course, go ahead.
such um like having Star Trek be a workplace comedy, like a
Hmm.
workplace sitcom. It's like the team building thing where you get the efficiency consultant in there to do team building exercises and stuff like that, and suddenly management has to do the low level jobs. It's basically that kind of setup.
Hmm. And everybody thinks they're just going to ace it. Oh, it's like, oh, well, Command, they have it so easy. And of course, Command is going, oh, those lower deckers, they hardly do anything. And so she has all these pods, these holographic pods, like mini holodecks, and everybody has a certain simulation that they're assigned, and they're graded on how they perform within the established parameters of whatever mission they're given. So let's talk about some of those missions.
Well, with the mirror universe for Mariner, for Beckett, is one of the reasons this is a great episode for us to talk about is we're both like hardcore gamers. It's like I'm one of the guys that goes after achievement and trophy, just trying to 100% platinum games, unless it's online, because I do single player only, really. I don't really play online. But it's that kind of devotion. That's what Boimler trying to get that 100%. But with Mariner going into the mirror universe and going off book and going off the parameters of the mission and having points deducted. It's like that whole gaming thing of whether your game's like an open world sandbox type of game where you can do anything you really want, like your Grand Theft Autos or your Red Dead Redemption kind of stuff, or the stuff that's on the rails, like your Banjo-Kazooies or something, where you have a specific path you have to follow. And it's kind of funny that it is that specific path that she has to do the mission by the book or she fails, which is annoying.
Yes. Yes. Oh, this is a point that we were going to bring up, and CJ has already beaten us to it.
Yeah, from the 70s one with Donald Sutherland. Does the mouth scream and points.
Yes. It was just... Of course, it's Boimler that would notice that she was saluting with her left hand instead of her right. Our Mariner is right-handed. Oh, I just strained my shoulder.
When Philip saying torture makes me horny, then I get horny for more torture. It's like, yeah, it's just kind of the bouncing between the two.
You can just stay in that cycle all day long. Oh, yeah, it was very entertaining. She failed that very quickly.
Yep. And kept failing.
Yeah. Yeah, she does. Of course, they each do more than one mission. So, but let's go through the first round.
How about the Wild West?
No, let's not talk about that. We're going to go on to Tendi. That's what I meant by the first round.
Oh, with the medical emergency with the Klingon that needs an honorable death. So you can already tell, okay, these are kind of set up to fail because you're supposed to kill your patient? And how is that exactly honorable? And I know it's referring to when Worf injured his back and that sort of scenario, which they referenced too with trying to stack those crates that kept falling over.
Yes. Well, that's the thing about Klingons, is that being disabled is not honorable. And so in order to remove the dishonor, you have to die an honorable death, which if you are disabled, that basically means death by suicide or having someone kill you.
So Klingons,
so
problematic, so ableist.
Otherwise, they're not gonna go to Sto-vo-kor, and then that causes a whole other set of problems in the psyche of the Klingon oeuvre. So yeah.
And I love the reversal of expectations, like all the backup organs and all the systems. And it's like, we've got two hearts, so just time of life.
Time of life.
And then she fails. It's like, how are you supposed to succeed at this? It's just a no-win scenario.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, yes, as a doctor, you have to do no harm, but at the same time, with all of these different cultures that you're dealing with, you also have to respect their culture. And there's actually a Babylon 5 episode about that. Anyway,
and a pretty bad one about the doctor too that didn't follow the guidelines of this culture. Like, They were kind of like Christian Scientist wise. They didn't allow incisions in the body or anything like that. And
Because
so,
the soul would escape.
yeah, soul would escape if you puncture their skin. So, yeah, not one of the better Babylon 5s.
No, but I understand what they were trying to do there.
Yeah.
So it was basically respecting a culture versus saving a life. And yeah, he went ahead and did it anyway, and then the parents rejected the child
And then later gets
killed
addicted
him.
to stims.
No, well, the doctor does, but they
the doctor
kill the
does.
child.
Yeah, they kill the child because the child is soulless by
A
their
soulless husk.
culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's a cheery thought to go
do you
with.
want Rutherford's?
Yeah, Rutherford
with the little the warp core about to go, and so
it's the end of Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. End of Wrath of Khan. He needs to guest starring Nobi the cat climbing up behind Dave right now. And he had to get into the dilithium chamber and basically stop it from overloading. Anyway, and he couldn't open the door because the handle was hot.
Yep. And then using his gloves, and by the time it gets to it, the ship explodes. Which is a pretty impressive explosion, even for animation. It kind of reminded me of like anime explosions almost.
Yep, indeed, I agree with that. It was quite detailed and kind of pretty in a disturbing way.
Yeah.
So and then of course Boimler. Boimler does one mission the entire time.
Yeah.
And that's Borg encounter. Can you be more specific? Defeat the Borg. Okay.
It's like survive the Borg encounter. It's like, okay, I guess I know what I'm doing.
So yeah, he does his thing. He's doing really well. He's dodging in and out. He finds a nursery of Borg babies. Yes, that happened in Next Generation.
Another great moment for why this is animated, because you can make a gag about him strapping this bundle of Borg babies around him and having him poke on his face and stuff. That works really well in animation. Wouldn't work so well in live action. So it's a good visual gag. And yeah, plush Borg babies would be a wonderful toy.
Yes, let's do that. It's demented, but let's do it. So yeah, he gets what? I think like a 73% or something like that. And he's like, wait, what?
I think he had 67 at first, and then it's like, okay, if you passed, and it's like, no, go again.
Yeah, he's like, no, I can do better.
Yeah.
He's me. If there is a situation, especially in a video game, where I know what the outcome is supposed to be, and I know that I want to get that score or whatever it is, like, I could give examples, but we'd be here all night. I will do that over and over again. I'm like, nope, reload and start over. So
I was listening to How Did This Get Played, which is a video gaming podcast, and they were talking about Yakuza 0. The cat's making noises with the blinds. And there's a certain achievement where you're in a car chase, and if you shoot this guy with an afro in the head, you get an achievement. And there's only this one opportunity to do it during this one segment of this huge game to get this achievement. And so, and it's kind of a hidden achievement too. Like if you didn't know about it, you'd miss it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Very crazy. Yeah, this is a good point. Spock did steal Scotty's gloves in the film. Because he's not a moron. I'm not saying that Rutherford is a moron. I'm saying that he should have thought about that.
Yeah.
So that puts Boimler on his quest for the 100% score. So next round we have, was the Western one the next one, or was it Naked Time?
Well, we had the lower decks, the command crew being lower decks, and having every event having like Q Romulans. There's what else going on, and they're all getting attacked while they had to stack crates and couldn't do anything else.
Well, that's later.
Yeah, that's later. So yeah, the
Yeah.
Western one's funny because Tawny Newsome grew up with horses.
Hmm.
She
And
has
this
kind
is
of a
something, yeah.
Western ranch background.
Yeah, and she doesn't know why it keeps getting brought up, but
Well,
I
as
love
soon
that
as
they brought.
Paul F. Tompkins figured it out, because they used to do this improvised comedy podcast called Spontaneation, or
Mhm.
Paul F. Tompkins was like the host of it. He'd get on a guest, they'd interview, and then from that interview, they would develop this improvised narrative. And Tawny was a frequent guest. If you can go back and listen to Spontaneation, I know it's a mouthful, but there's Tawny Newsome, there's Craig and
Eugene
Carla
Cordero
Kikowski, Eugene Cordero, yeah, Matt Gorley, Mark McGonville, all these, like Mark Evan Jackson, who's also in this episode, strangely.
playing a Starfleet officer in one of the simulations, and I can't place which one it is.
Yep. So all these huge comedy talents and improv talents, and yeah, Tawny was one of them. But as soon as Paul F. Tompkins found out that she grew up with horses, he wouldn't let it go. Tried to get her to talk about horses all the time. She's
All
like,
the
"Why?
time.
Why horses? I have other things. I made the music. There's other things I like. I like Star Trek. Why, why the horses?"
Yep. So the fact that, and she thinks it's going to be so easy because, like, oh, Old Western Town, this is a Starfleet classic. And again, not trying to follow the parameters because Mariner never does that, ever. And she can't even get on the horse. The horse gets spooked by her.
And then tramples
And
her.
tramples her.
What's funny is the first time I watched this, I thought she said Star Trek classic, and I was like, okay, does Star Trek exist in the Star Trek universe? But
No.
yeah, she said Starfleet,
Starfleet.
which
Yeah.
gets brought up later too, when I think when Freeman says Starfleet classic.
Yeah. So yeah, there was that one, but I think her funniest one was the Naked Time one, because
Oh
just
yeah,
everybody having sex everywhere, but especially in the bar.
people screen grabbed it, and Billups is on an iPad, just looking at stuff. He's completely naked, but he's on an iPad. Everybody else is making out and
Of
riding
course,
each
because
other.
he can't have sex because otherwise he'll become the king.
Yeah.
So he's just participating virtually. Yes, virtually. Oh wow, the there were some things that I'm with Mariner. I wish I could unsee.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was Shax in his big, beautiful, in the buff body,
And all the
shouts,
scratch marks
"It's
on
naked
him
time!" Yes, right.
from Chana,
To Anna, yeah.
Tana, yeah.
Yep, yep. It was just, and then all the stuff that was painted on the walls. Oh, in fact, Patrick's got, yeah, sinner repent and love mankind.
Mm.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was getting at. That's the thing I wish I could unsee.
There was a church that was converted into a restaurant, and they discovered that same kind of image of this guy with his he's getting wrapped up in my headphones, this guy with holding his legs like akimbo and just exposing himself, was carved into the wood in the top little corner of this church. And when they converted it to a restaurant, they found it and put a light on it so you could see it clearly. It's that exact pose, just this guy, like, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yes. Wow. Okay, so yeah, Mariner just ran fleeing. Just fail me, fail me, fail me.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't really see anyone else's of our four. We don't really see follow-up experiences, just Mariners. But there were other things going on. And like there was a screenshot of the board that Tendi was listed on. So Ensign Barnes was doing whale rescue, Star Trek 4. Um, then there was Tribble Infestation. Well, we know where that came from.
Mhm.
Extreme Engineering, which could refer to many things.
Yeah, it
But my
sounds like a
favorite,
Geordie kind of thing.
yeah, my favorite, Teleportation Death Tag.
I don't even know what that is.
I feel like I should know,
It sounds like
but
something
I
enterprisey.
don't. No, see, that's the
No.
thing. They didn't use the
Yeah, they didn't
teleporter that
use
much
the
because
transporter
they
that
didn't
much, did
trust
they?
it.
No, that's right. Hmm.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, that's yeah.
Hmm.
If anyone knows what teleportation death tag is referring to, then please let me know.
Also, when they gather all the crew together to show them the pods,
Mhm.
there's what appears to be maybe a Sikh.
Oh,
With,
yes. His name is Arjun.
yeah, and there's also a Muslim woman with a hijab on. So
Mhm. Which we
interesting.
actually saw in the very first episode of Lower Decks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah.
So it's just nice seeing, even greater diversity. I mean, kind of some of the background characters, but still. Oh, also, I saw that one of the crew mates is named Manhaver. 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 I was like,
Maybe
what a
it's
heck of a
Haver.
name. It might be
Maybe.
Manhaver. Manhaver.
Maybe.
Manaver. Manaver.
Manimal.
Manimal.
Oh, Manimal. I loved Manimal when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry, we're drifting into all of this reminiscing because this episode does bring up a lot of series and events in
Yep.
series.
And movies, because we get the Borg Queen.
Yes, we get Alice back to do the Borg Queen,
Mhm.
and I thought that was her because I thought that sounds like Alice. And then I watched the credits just to make sure, and yes, of course, it was our first Borg Queen,
Yep.
Alice Creed. So, and she's a lovely person. I saw her on a GalaxyCon stream that was with her and I think Patrick Stewart. And anyway, she's lovely, and I adore her. And I've seen her in many, many things, and she is one of those people that just becomes whatever she's doing.
Yeah, she's really good in Ghost Story.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy.
Very creepy.
Yeah.
Well,
She's the ghost.
she's the ghost because some jerk guys let her drown in a car. So
Mhm.
yeah, there's that.
Yeah. Has Fred Astaire, if I remember.
Yes, it does have Red Astaire in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, an old Fred Astaire.
Yes. This is funny. This is the second episode in a row where an AI has criticized the way Boimler takes care of his skin.
Poor Boimler.
Oh, the poor dear.
Yeah. I
He
think
really
it's
needs.
stress.
It probably is stress, but
Mhm.
maybe he ought to switch to Cetaphil because it's really good for like getting moisture without oiliness, but also making sure that you don't break out. So it's really good for people who have any kind of skin problem that they're trying to deal with. Cetaphil,
Yeah.
check it out.
So it's nice to see Boimler being successful because he
Mhm.
keeps repeating the mission over and over again and keeps improving. It's like he's spotting the places where he can improve and working on it, even if it's 1 or 2%, to the point
Yep.
where eventually he's at 100% or about ready to leave the pod.
Yep.
And of
We're
course,
not
that's
there
when they
yet.
call him. Yeah.
Yep. We're not there yet. We're not
Mhm.
there yet. Because this took place over more than one day. Because we see our Boimler still in the simulator in the
Mhm.
little holodeck and pod thing, and Tendi and Mariner and Rutherford are basically in the nice lounge area that the bridge
Mhm.
crew gets to have, and they're having delicious food that they normally don't get to have. And Tendy's just eating a big bowl of pesto, and
Yeah.
she doesn't know what it is, but she loves it, and she finds
Mhm.
out it's called pesto. She's like, I love this. And they're talking about how, yeah, actually, this what they have to do seems to be harder than we thought. And then we switch over to the bridge crew, we don't see anything that they've done during the day for
Right.
this first day. We just see them
Yep.
going to the bunks in the hallway at the
Doesn't one
end
of
of the
them
day.
say they basically stood at the back of the banquet all day?
Yeah, stood back of the banquet all day.
Yeah.
And I think that was, if I remember correctly, I think it was Ransom that said that.
Mm.
And they were just talking about, oh yeah, this was so easy, and I don't know what they complain about. And then they're all getting in their bunks, but my favorite part is when Ta'ana just jumps up into Shax's bunk and
Curls
does
up
her
on
cat
him.
thing.
That's what nobody does to me. Lays on my butt.
Yep, does that thing. My microphone keeps drifting lower. Pardon me.
Yep.
All right.
Ooh, engineering, extreme engineering.
Extreme engineering, that's better.
Yeah.
Now I don't feel like I have to come in here to talk. So yeah, but day 2. Stop
For all
it,
you okay.
ASMR
Right.
people.
Yeah.
So next day, that's when we see the bridge crew go through their simulations. And all 4 of them are in the same simulation, which I found interesting. Because I guess that's really how the lower deckers work. We always see them in their groups or pairs of 2.
Mm-hmm.
Pairs of 2. Well, of course, 2 are in a pair because that's
Ooh.
what a pair means. It means 2.
With Hands of Blue?
No, not 2 by 2 Hands of Blue.
Okay. All right.
That's a different show. So,
right.
yeah. That I think you may be right. Freeman had the banquet and Ta'ana had transporter duty, just waiting for someone to beam down somewhere.
Yep.
So
seems like an easy gig. Just hang out by the transporters until somebody's either coming up or going down.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And yes, TJ, you are absolutely right. We are talking to each other over video conference from the same house.
Yes, indeed. That
because
way
it
you
would
don't
be
get
very,
echo and stuff.
Yeah, it would be very awkward to have us side by side, because then we'd have to share a microphone, and that it would just be weird. It would just be weird.
This
Because
is how
then we'd
we
be,
record what the future holds.
we'd be talking like this, and then no, the other way. There you go. We'd be talking like this, and then that would just be weird.
Yes.
Yep. So anyway.
Here's an interesting question. So if you're locked out of the simulation, once you fail, why did Mariner get 3 different simulations?
Well, I would find it difficult to believe that you only do one simulation throughout the whole day. It's what Boimler does because he wants that perfect score. But it seems to me like they're doing a lot of different simulations, that everybody gets different simulations. So I think they may have a certain number that they have to do, because honestly, if someone was putting you through drills at your job, would you just do one thing? No, you'd be doing a variety of things. So I think that once they fail that simulation, they can't do that simulation over once they exit the pod.
And it makes me wonder if each failure gets counted too. Because
I'm
if
sure that they
she's
do.
purposefully trying to get them to fail, then why not give them another chance when it's already rigged against them?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We don't know that at this point. So, but the bridge crew do find out that their replicator food sucks on the lower decks, and that their job just to support the senior officers and stack those freaking hexagonal crates. What?
Yeah. Honeycomb's a great design, but not like that. You need to stack them so they actually stack. Those
the thing is if you're going to stack those, you need to have supporting walls on the sides so that they don't roll off of each other.
Yep.
And then you can honeycomb them.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, this is another good point to drag down the ship score. Yeah. Because that was the whole point, is to make sure that they failed. So These may be valid simulations that all other crews have run, but they've now been tweaked.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. Oh,
You
this
like
is good. This is good. So not only did Boimler pass a test that was rigged against him on the first try, he managed to get up to 100% eventually. He's playing,
Yeah. He's playing on like that extreme mode on Ghost of Tsushima where you die with one hit. He's playing that.
He's playing that one part of Mass Effect in the third game where you keep what's her name from committing suicide or having any other
Right.
bad result of that mission, which is apparently extremely hard to do. And I
Yes.
did it without even thinking about it, because when I play video games,
You play video
I- if
games.
if I'm given a choice of what kind of person to be, whether I can do good things, whether I can do bad things, I'm always going to be the goody goody.
Right.
Always. I've tried being the baddie. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel right. It's not fun for me, so I don't do it.
Here's it. I platinumed Cyberpunk 2077 on a PS4 before they fixed a lot of the bugs. So that took a lot of patience, and talk about a game rigged against you.
Mhm.
It's like if the coding itself is a bit flawed. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it kicked me out again. Got to go back in, start this mission over.
Yep. And so everybody's in the bar when Mariner and Freeman figure out that they understand now why the other job is not as easy as they thought it was. Which is interesting, because you would have thought that, all of the bridge crew at some point started as lower deckers.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't remember that. Just like how women often don't remember the pain of childbirth until they have another
Mm.
child, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, why did I do this again?" But
Or
too
once
late then.
people that don't have any kind of privilege, once they get privilege, suddenly they
Mhm.
shut everybody else behind them.
Yeah.
It's like, get inside, shut the door behind you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, this episode was very much like things that I do in video games.
Yeah, it's very much like that. There's a lot of video gamey stuff in there.
Yeah, certain
And
things where it's
also,
like, "Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead."
the office politics thing of the efficiency expert and people justifying their existence as a job and that kind of middle management thing, because they're finding that out with the pandemic, with people working from home, that a lot of managers' jobs are kind of unnecessary, especially around the middle manager area, where it's like, what do you really do? You're not producing anything. All you're doing is micromanaging your employees that can kind of work unsupervised for the most part. So, what's the problem? And it's
Yep.
that kind of scenario where, you know, she's trying to justify her job by showing that, yes, indeed, certain crews are bad and need improvement.
Yes. Yeah. And otherwise she's superfluous.
Yep.
I used a
Or
big word.
redundant. That's the term, huh?
Yeah, but superfluous is more fun.
Yeah, it is.
Um, yeah, and so they think, "Oh, this is what it was about." It was actually about team building and empathy and understanding where the other person is coming from. And so they go to see Shari thinking that, "Oh yeah, she's great. She's so smart at what she did to us." And Shari just laughs in their faces.
And this happens on lower decks all the time. It subverts expectations. You think it's reaching a certain moral point or the story's going in a certain place, and you find out, oh, wait, no. It's kind of like the thing with Tana and the box. Is like she didn't want this scratching post thing. She wanted the box to play in. It's like,
It will never
yeah,
not be funny. It will always
yeah.
be funny. Always, always, always. So funny. Yeah, and that's the great thing. I love that they constantly, like, pretty much every episode, subvert my expectations with something. And it's not like I even have really heavy expectations, but sometimes I get full of myself and think I
Hmm.
know where something is going, only to be shown I am completely
Yeah.
wrong. So I appreciate being put in my place every once in a while.
Well, it's like horror and comedy both work in that it gives you something unexpected.
Mhm.
And whether that's frightening or humorous, that's the distinction between the two. But yeah, just something
Yes.
you didn't expect happens and you laugh at it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this is where we get into the really fun territory. So Boimler's still in his simulation. He's getting closer and closer to that 100%. And Mariner and Freeman are finding out that this was all just rigged against them. And they find out that it's not over, completely over, until Boimler exits his simulation. And he's at 100%. He's
Mhm.
at 100% at this point. And
Played
so
chess with the
they
queen, taught her empathy.
Yep. So they contact him and tell him he can't come out. And he's like, okay. And he's like standing at the final stage. He's got all the Borg babies. If I remember correctly, he's been dragging out some other Borg with their
Mhm.
cables wrapped around them
And blowing the
and
ship, the
blowing the
cube
ship
up.
up, blowing the cube up. Yeah. And so he's ready to finish this, and now he can't. And so he's trying to evade the Borg now and trying to keep the simulation going, which judging by the point that he is at when they call him,
Mhm.
is not going to be an easy feat, because now the entire ship knows he's there.
Yep.
So they're all coming after him, every single one of them. So he's having his issues, and Mariner and Freeman decide to teach Shari a lesson. And oh boy, do they teach her a lesson. So they decide to find something dangerous nearby.
All the
And
crystalline entities.
there's like 3 or 4 crystalline entities within warp distance. What is that about?
You have some of them getting it on, and it's like, is it Crystalline Entity Appreciation Day or something? What's going on here?
Yeah, just so many. And so they go check one of those out. And when it finally gets a little too hairy, they pull back out of there. And what else do we have? Well, there's a black hole that's I can't even remember what she said, that was feeding on something, but it was just a normal black hole,
I
apparently.
think it was a crystalline entity feeding on a unstable planet or something like
Yeah,
that.
that was the first one, but this is
Yeah.
the second one, the second thing they go to.
Right.
And so they're going to this black hole, and yeah, they're just letting the scary things happen. This is stuff they've done
Mhm.
1,000 times,
Yeah.
but Shari has never experienced it. And they finally get her to the point where to save her own life and her nerves and her sanity, they get her to promise to change the score and pass them.
And we get another reference to the motion picture when they're near the black hole in the event horizon. Is you get the weird
Wormhole
shadow
effect.
wormhole effect, kind of duplicate versions of yourself that we also saw in Discovery. So it's interesting that they're bringing that back to tie in the motion picture.
Yep. Yep. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I couldn't remember. I thought it was something with a temporal rift. Black hole feeding on a temporal rift, except
There
it
you go.
wasn't actually feeding on a temporal rift. It was just a regular black hole.
Mhm. Just your
Which is
average
terrifying.
everyday black hole. It's
Yeah,
just a singularity.
terrifying.
That's all.
So, yeah, just a regular one. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just going to spaghettify you if you get too
Yeah.
close. So it's
Yeah.
no big deal. Yeah. It
Spit
won't
you out a
survive.
white hole.
Mm-hmm. White hole spewing time. Oh, sorry, that's Red Dwarf reference. Anyway,
Yeah.
I've got a billion of them. So yeah. So Shari says that she'll do this, and they all run down to the pod. Mariner and Freeman and Tandy Rutherford. They run down, and they get Boimler out. Boimler, in the meantime, has been captured and is strapped to a table, a la Data in First Contact. And the Borg Queen appears, and yeah, he's assimilated. And so,
And just shuffling around in the pod.
yep, and we can hear him shuffling around in there. So they finally get it open, and he kind of falls out. I am Excretus of Borg. That's where the title comes from.
Oh man.
And they're like helping him, they're kind of half dragging him away. They put implants up they put implants
In his ear.
in your ear. They put implants in your ear, right? Right. I don't want to know.
It took everything I was.
I felt so bad for him. I'm like, dude, you were gonna win. You were gonna get that 100% score.
Yeah. We know.
Yeah, we know.
They might not, but we know.
So yeah, so they get their way. They just tell Boimler that he got his 100% score,
Yeah. He
because
had
truly he
8.
did.
He
Truly
did,
he
really.
did,
Yeah.
though. Yeah. So yeah, it was. The nice thing is that we do see the bridge crew coming to our favorite lower deckers and bringing them a new replicator that
Yeah, it
has
does multiple
most.
pizza slices at
Yeah, more
once.
than one pizza slice at a time, and
Yeah.
most of the command codes for meals that they don't normally get to have. And that's when Tindy gets to shout, "We get pesto!"
She says it so excitedly. It's like, wow.
Oh, she at the top of her lungs, she was
Uh-huh.
thrilled. And so yeah, that's kind of where we end, is the crew appreciating each other a little more, and also very proud of themselves for getting Shari to change their score to passing,
Mhm.
100% passing, might I add.
And didn't she also resign from too much stress?
Yep, she resigned due to on the job stress.
Hmm.
Imagine that. Hmm. Well, it kind of serves her right. She made her
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all right. So yeah, that was, oh, all the references, good lord, too many to count. I would have to watch it again
There's
and
a
like
bunch.
pause it every 3 seconds
Hmm.
to write things down. And I'm
Yeah.
unfortunately I didn't have time to do that between last night and today. So
Twitter's already full of them, like the
mhm,
ceremonial knife to
to kill the
kill a
Klingon.
Klingon. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's
Oh, Klingons apparently have claws on their feet. Like on the top of their foot, they have 2 little claws.
oh yeah, I knew that
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because
you yeah, you if you see, I believe it's Star Trek 6 when Gowron first, not Gowron, my word, Gorkon. Get my
Gorkon.
Klingons right.
Mm.
David Warner. Whoo, love me some
Oh,
David
yes.
Warner.
Right.
Yeah. Never mind that he was also in Star Trek 5 as a totally different character. We don't care.
Hmm.
This is a better role for him. So when he beams aboard the Enterprise for the first time when they're going to have dinner, they start at his feet and you see his boots and they have those claw shapes in them. So maybe he can delicately get his claws in there, or maybe I don't know how the claws work.
Yeah, I don't either.
Anyway, so there we are. Episode 8. That means we only have 2 left in this
I know.
season.
Yeah, but Prodigy's coming soon.
Yeah, Prodigy will start, I believe, the week after. So let me count in my head. So today's the 1st of October. That means 7th of October, then 14th, then 21st. And isn't it the 24th? Help
Hmm.
me. Help
I
me, people in the
don't know.
chat. Is it the 24th or is it the 28th? Because if it's the 28th, then that would mean that there's a week between Lower Decks and
A week without Trek? What will people do?
rewatch Lower Decks season 2
Oh,
is
right.
my guess. Yeah, it is October 28th. So yes, there will be a week off for that. And I'm sure Dan and I will probably just take that week off, because when we come back, it will be for a little while. Starting November 18th, it'll be 2 shows we're covering in one live show. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so okay, everybody, get your ratings ready and post them in the chat. Dave, what are your final thoughts on this episode?
What are my final thoughts? Great gags for animation. Like the Borg babies is so dang funny, and just each little montage of Boimler going through the scenario over and over again, getting better and better and better when everybody else is failing. It's just a fun juxtaposition, and it's fun to see Boimler succeed, because we know he's
Yes.
capable. It's just he needs to be in the right situation, and apparently, he studied up in the Borg, knows everything about the Borg, and ta-da! Funny stuff. Love the horse stuff with Tawny and Mariner, because just the backstory behind that and knowing there's a history there with the
Yeah.
actor is
Yeah.
really funny.
We probably laughed harder than most people did at that joke.
It's just horses and Tawny, just funny.
Yep. Yep, indeed. So what would you rate it, my dear?
100% completion.
That is an excellent rating.
That was
Very
an all
good.
around great episode. So
3 out of 3 tri-bodied tricksters.
and it had what no A-B plot kind of thing. It was basically just one single plot, which is just I mean, if you can kind of think of it being broken up between the characters, but I think that was great. It was a nice ensemble kind of story where everybody was involved.
Yep, absolutely. So for me, I loved this from start to finish, even though there were some moments where I'm just like, I cannot ever unsee that. Why did you put that in my brain? I'm not going to fault it. It made me laugh out loud. The whole show is laugh out loud funny, but this one really tickled me in the best way. And I identified so hard with Boimler during this episode. It was really fun for me in that regard because I just thought, oh yeah, that's me. That's what I would do. Absolutely, that is me. So yeah, I would say I am going to give it.
How many Borg babies?
No, this is wrong. This is wrong. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm going to give it 69 out of 69 spread eagle Boimlers.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
That's what we're doing.
Nice. Yep.
Okay. Well, it's been a fun time. Dan will be back next week. For those of you who want to breathe a sigh of relief, please do so now. For, unfortunately, you just get me.
Well,
And
Dan with the encyclopedic knowledge of which episode and which title of the episode, which season, all that stuff.
Yes, he just has a mind that works like that. It's not like he tried to memorize these things. They just come to him like that. So, yeah. So he'll be back next week and we will welcome him back with open arms so that you guys don't have to listen to me waffle on for 45 to 55 minutes. Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I love Dave, obviously. Oh, thanks, Donnie. Yeah, it is the 1st of October. It's my favorite month of the year.
Yeah.
And it's going to go far too quickly. Far too quickly. But yeah. Thanks so much, guys, for joining. Even though, the driving force of this show wasn't here. Appreciate you tuning in. And it was fun to do this with my hubby. And sorry about the cat noises, but it was fun.
Yeah. He's off somewhere now.
Yeah. So Dave, why don't you tell people where they can find you around the internet?
You can mostly find me on Twitter at Dark Corner Cast, where I post sometimes about Star Trek, a lot about music, usually supporting other accounts by retweeting or quote tweeting and that sort of thing. I host with Brandi the Dark Corner Podcast. That is at darkcornerpodcast.com, where we're both self-confessed goths and we look at pop culture from a subcultural perspective. I am planning on releasing our Halloween music playlist later today. It'll be 31 songs. It's about 2 hours long. It's a continuous mix of some pagan rock and some neo folk. So kind of creepy vibe to it. Some witchy songs. So kind of going for a more traditional sounding Halloween mix for the most part. Except for the pagan rock stuff, that can be whatever. There's a song called Wicker Man by a band called The Tomb of Nick Cage. So that's kind of the standout in the mix. particularly silly song even references the bees and how did it get burned and all that stuff. So that's kind of like the lighter moment of it. But then there's stuff like strangers in the forest and that kind of thing. So yeah. And I also have a Halloween mix up on my SoundCloud, which is DJ Evil Dave. So if you want to listen to that to celebrate this spooky time of year,
Yes.
it's a busy time for us.
It is a busy time for us, very much so.
Yes, yes.
In the best way. The best way. So yeah, you can find me when I'm not straightening my hair. Yeah, don't get used to this. This is a pain in the butt to do.
Yeah.
It takes forever.
When
So
she gets
don't
it wet, it'll go.
Yeah. Yeah. It used to
Yeah.
be that this was just the natural state of my hair, and then I hit my 40s, and for some reason, my hair went naturally curly.
Yep.
Does not make any sense. But there we are. There's Dave in his
This is my COVID protest hair. I
he has
didn't
COVID
cut it
protest.
since the start of lockdown because if everybody had just followed public health guidelines, I wouldn't have to grow it out this long for this long. So,
Yeah.
To be fair, he could go and get it cut, but why?
Good. But I'm not going to until the pandemic's over. So,
Yes. So anyway, you can find me on Brandywine12 on Twitter, Brandy with an I, 12 with a number. I'm not going to talk about all the podcasts I do because you can just find out what I'm doing when you go to my Twitter. And my personal feeling is that this is a good time to be a Trek fan. We have
Oh,
a lot
hell
of
yeah.
great stuff coming up. I'm so grateful that Dan lets me do this show with him because it really is the highlight of my week. Pretty much every week is just doing this and interacting with the chat. You guys are great. You are why we do this. So thank you so much. Live long and prosper. And we will see you all next week.